Hello and welcome back to the channel. I am Goblin number 2, and I'm here with DM Shelby
Hi guys, owner of the channel.
and me. Um, so we're here to talk about one of your campaigns. Your first I believe it's your first campaign, Sundown Durango Town.
Yes, it was technically the first game I had ever made start to finish, homebrew entirely, that I ran my first, I think, second time DMing, but it was my only successful one at that time when I had first started.
Hmm. Nice, nice. What is Sundown Durango Town?
So Sundown in Durango Town is a murder, well, it's not a murder mystery, but it is a mystery Western adventure. I had started doing this one right after I ran a module murder mystery, but I fell in love with mysteries at the time, and I created this entire world that is based on the Wild West with a fantasy theme, of course. So there are vampires, snake people, dragonborns, and mysteriously, this town has gone through a really bad patch. And because of that bad patch, they have to hire out help to figure out why the town is suddenly cursed or being tormented by a series of specters at night.
Nice. I really like that. I dig the Western vibes. I really do. It's one of my secret loves. Um, Now, as I understand it, this entire campaign is in a small town with only like 7 buildings.
Yes, that's right. The entire campaign, which currently this is its third run, so I've run this game 3 times. It's a 4-week session, and we just stay in Durango Town, which is only 7 buildings.
How do you keep those 7 buildings? Like, how do you make an entire world out of like these 7 buildings?
So the reason it's kept in this single like dusty desert town is because in westerns all the towns are usually far and in between, and it would make sense that if they were hired to be in this town, there's not much reason to leave the town. To make it rich, you have to make the NPCs as like heavy backstories, full of clues, mysteries. The richer the NPC, the better the world is to stay in, and which will keep the players in the world. So I took so much time developing each character that is sitting in Durango Town. They're there to help give clues, add context, but also offer a little bit of side stories and side quests for the characters to do that will keep them busy while they're waiting for the monster of the week to show up.
So, what makes a rich character?
So a rich character is an NPC that you give heavy background to. Now, will this be revealed throughout the whole campaign? It depends on how interested your players are. But having all of that already set up will make it easier for interactions. For me, I like to keep a very diverse cast of characters. Which for me, being someone that is white passing, I am half white and half Mexican, I have to do heavy research into cultural backgrounds, along with interviewing people that have been kind enough to help educate me, along with my own research to make sure everything is rich and diverse. We have a European transport, which is Madam Nix, who runs the brothels. We also have someone that is more of a Native American descent. We also have characters that are black, brown, white, all of them in a rich history of what historically that time would be like for them, as also with some characters that have from the previous iterations moved their history onto this one, so there's more fun interactions with players that are returning to me as well. Having those little tidbits of information really flesh out the world and make characters such as the players want to engage with it.
So, top 3 NPCs.
Are we talking about this current iteration?
Yes.
Because we do have some new characters.
Mhm.
Previously, we had Mayor Moonport. He has been taken away because last cast of characters have taken him away. He's got arrested. But for this current iteration, number one, which I know is going to be shocking to some of my players, is Otis Moonport. He is my newest character. He is like fresh. He's never been in the iterations before. He is the son of the mayor, and he writes dime-back romance novels, which weirdly I actually have a big interest in when it comes to Wild West lore and history of these little like tiny dime-back novels that will then be written to take on the trains. He's a spoiled brat. He's very fancy and has the best assless chaps you've ever seen in your life. He is so romanticy. Like, if you pictured a Twinkie cowboy, that's what I would picture, and I love him for it. And he's a half human, half dwarf, and I love him to death. Second favorite is always going to be in my very top, is going to be Madam Nix. She is a crowd favorite. She runs the vampire brothel. She's very seductive, very flirty, and has actually turned out in many of my other campaigns, as some of my vampire games have resulted in other players wanting to be sired by her. So there's this deep, rich lore with her. Even in our current game right now, there is a pair of sisters. One of the sisters works for Madame Nix. She's kind of away right now, but her sister is in town trying to solve the mystery, and it's kind of this weird juggle of Madame Nix trying to figure out how to speak to that sister without revealing that her sister is here because they hate each other. And third, my other favorite has to be Lilysmolbean. I just love her design. I love that we made her this beautiful brown woman with snake skin. I love her scarf head. I love that she's very flirtatious, but she loves to mess with the player, especially because she always makes them draw from the deck of many things. She loves to gamble, and she always brings in the players with that. But she's also a wealth of knowledge because we've put in this mechanic where spellcasters have like a certain smell or a certain appetite for things. Like warlocks love sugar. There's always a smell of peppermint, or you're craving a certain like herb while you're casting types of spells when it comes to cursing people. She's this wonderful wealth of knowledge, and she's also very attached to one of my players right now because she has something to do with unburying their body and bringing them back to life.
Warlocks liking sugar because they're sugar babies.
Yeah, that's exactly what's the fun.
Are any of your characters inspired by people or the characters that you know, like outside of in like real life?
For the NPCs, well, we won't say names, but Mayor Odelia Moonport is actually inspired by a previous boss of mine that I worked for at a newspaper. And she's one of the reasons I stopped being a journalist, because at the time I didn't like the corporation it was becoming, that was losing the news in the community I wanted to build. And she is very similarly designed. Her personality is pretty similar. It was a very bad experience for me when I was 18, and I'm happy that I was able to turn to something positive. As for like Lilysmolbean, that is some wonderful people that I worked with before that had a huge knowledge of herbs, and she was really into gambling. But I love her dearly. She was like a great aunt for me. Along with some of the other characters, Elliot Bimblewood, which is our half giant librarian that doesn't fit in his schoolhouse, is kind of a remnant of really excited librarians that got me into reading. But some of the other characters are just kind of new. Sheriff Indigo Bluestone, are very gruff and tough blue dragonborn. Just someone I made up because I always like those morally gray characters with that like rough and tumble, like I don't want to deal with you, but it's just a favorite of mine in books.
Amazing. Um, so to bring a little bit back to like the setting, it's such a small town. There's so
That is
there's such a
pretty
limit.
indicative of country towns. They are all pretty small.
Oh yeah.
I went to college in a very small town in Kansas, so I think that's kind of where I got the idea to keep it small.
But how do you keep your players from like just walking straight west to like out of the story?
I think all my DMs can relate is that we try to let players know what the story is going to be. And when players signed up for this game, I was very clear that this is a world that is going to stay in this town. The whole purpose is in this town. Now, can a player choose to defy me and not want to do it? Yeah. And that has happened before where there was this big finale and some players just like, okay, I'm done. I want to leave the town. And that was kind of hard originally to like kind of balance out, but the way to keep them in is what I've learned is implementing parts of their backstory, things that have to do with them, that's very personally connected to them, and put it into the town. For example, I have a grandpa and grandson pairing, and they're coming to this town, and they've kind of weaved their backstory, so they're kind of part of Durango. But to keep them there, they are trying to run from something. Well, whatever they're running from is now going to come to the town to meet them there. That keeps the story centralized around them. For another character, they're having this battle between gods in their minds. And for someone that's struggling with that, maybe the town's bringing it up, they might want to leave. A way to keep that going is to implement a church that might have to do with that god. All of the characters and the NPCs specifically, can be adjusted to fit more character backstory. We have some characters, like the sister character, having her sister working in this brothel but being hidden from her. That causes her to want to stay to figure out, why does everyone keep saying, hey, you look so familiar. Having that constant back and forth with that player, it brings them like, why do I look familiar to these people? They want to dig more into the mystery that's even just beyond the main storyline. having these side quests that are specific to each player's backstory, which as a DM means you need to do a lot of homework on your players. Because without it, then the story wouldn't be as interesting and they wouldn't want to stay in this small town. But even then, players can get chaotic and they can leave, and that can make it hard, especially when your setting is only in this small town. If that is not where you want to go, I understand where, as a DM, I always encourage coming with things up on the spot, following where your characters want to go. But sometimes, if you have established a boundary that you want to be in this world, and a player is just pushing and pushing your boundary to expand it, if you are not ready for that, especially newer DMs, it is okay to stop the game and say, okay, I don't have this prepared because it said it here. Is there a way I can make this more fun for you? Or is there a reason why we are doing this? Because if it's not fun for the DM, then it's not fun at all.
That was incredibly insightful. Thank you very much. I usually I try not to railroad, but happens.
Goblin number 2 is also a DM and loves to railroad.
I do not love to railroad. I have an affinity for trains. Either way, thank you so much for this incredible insight and for sitting and talking to me today.
Of course, Goblin number 2.
Well, until next time, this has been Goblin number 2.
This is DM Montez.
Bye.
Bye.